So this guy's called Simon Sinek, and many of you would have seen this. This has been around for a few years now. So he was talking about millennials in the workplace. Now, millennials in the workplace now, I think our millennials started about 25, don't they? So they're an older generation. But the thing that's important about this to me is when he talks about what social media and what cell phones do to your brain. This is a 3-minute clip. If you have not seen this, pay attention if you've got people in your life who are teenagers. And I watched this with my kids probably 10 times over the space of 5 years, because when they said things like, you know, but I want that, you know, that, and I'd go, dude, let's watch this again. Let's talk out what social media and phones can do to a young mind. So I included my kids in these conversations. I don't know if it worked or not. That was a path we took, but let's have a listen to what Simon Sinek says of the research.
Technology. We know that engagement with social media and our cell phones releases a chemical called dopamine. That's why when you get a text, it feels good, right? So, you know, we've all had it where you're feeling a little bit down or feeling a bit lonely. And so you send out 10 texts to 10 friends, you know, hi, 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 hi. Because it feels good when you get a response, right? Right? It's why we count the likes. It's why we go back 10 times to see if my Instagram is growing slower, did I do something wrong? Do they not like me anymore, right? The trauma for young kids to be unfriended, right? Because we know when you get a hit of dopamine, which feels good. It's why we like it. It's why we keep going back to it. Dopamine is the exact same chemical that makes us feel good when we smoke, when we drink, and when we gamble. In other words, it's highly, highly addictive. Right? We have age restrictions on smoking, gambling, and alcohol, and we have no age restrictions on social media and cell phones, which is the equivalent of opening up the liquor cabinet and saying to our teenagers, hey, by the way, this adolescence thing, if it gets you down. But that's basically what's happening. That's basically what's happening, right? That's basically what happened. You have an entire generation that has access to an addictive, numbing chemical called dopamine through social media and cell phones as they're going through the high stress of adolescence. Why is this important?
Yeah, this is really good as well. We could just cut it there, but what he talks about is how is that going to impact people through their life? And he relates it to, if we agree that the dopamine hits you get from a phone are equivalent on some level or in the same ballpark as alcohol, then what we're seeing is the same habits of people as they grow older going to social media as ones in the past have gone to alcohol. So how to deal with life using alcohol, people are now dealing with life using social media and phones.
Almost every alcoholic discovered alcohol when they were teenagers. When we're very, very young, the only approval we need is the approval of our parents. And as we go through adolescence, we make this transition where we now need the approval of our peers. Very frustrating for our parents, very important for us. It allows us to acculturate outside of our immediate families into the broader tribe, right? It's a highly, highly stressful and anxious period of our lives, and we're supposed to learn to rely on our friends. Some people, quite by accident, discover alcohol and numbing effects of dopamine to help them cope with the stresses and anxieties of adolescence. Unfortunately, that becomes hardwired in their brains, and for the rest of their lives, when they suffer significant stress, they will not turn to a person, they will turn to the bottle. Social stress, financial stress, career stress, that's pretty much the primary reasons why an alcoholic drinks, right? What's happening is because we're allowing unfettered access to these dopamine-producing devices and media, basically it's becoming hardwired, and what we're seeing is as they grow older, too many kids don't know how to form deep, meaningful relationships. Their words, not mine. They will admit that many of their friendships are superficial. They will admit that their friends, that they don't count on their friends, they don't rely on their friends, they have fun with their friends, but they also know that their friends will cancel on them if something better comes along. Deep, meaningful relationships are not there because they never practice the skill set, and worse, they don't have the coping mechanisms to deal with stress. So when significant stress starts to show up in their lives, they're not turning to a person, they're turning to a device, they're turning to social media, they're turning to these things which offer temporary relief. We know, the science is clear, we know that people who spend more time on Facebook suffer higher rates of depression than people who spend less time on Facebook, right? These things balanced. Alcohol is not bad, too much alcohol is bad. Gambling is fun, too much gambling is dangerous, right? There's nothing wrong with social media and cell phones. It's the imbalance.
There you go. Now, I would challenge any parent to watch that and then go, sweet as, here you go, have a phone. But look, I'm not trying to play both sides of this. I'm not saying so I support what David Seymour's doing. I'm saying if we're going to have a conversation, let's have the conversation, not play this stupid game of, well, you know, I don't know why. There seems to be some strange reason why these kids are not. It's like, no, we know what the research is. We know why it is. Now let's address it. Chewy.
Yeah. The core point out of there is, for me, is yes, everything in moderation.
Yeah.
But when you're growing a functional human, trying to mold a child into an adult that can think and make their own decisions, and everybody knows in the teenage years, that's the risk-taking years. Kids are working out what they can and can't get away with. And you know, we've tried things, and you can look at some of the things that he's talking about, you know, say alcohol use and that sort of thing. When everything's locked away, and no, you have to wait until you're 18, you have a couple of things. You have someone that is sneaking around behind their parents' back to get at the thing that they were told that they can't have.
Yeah.
Or you people arriving at 18, and the attitude is fucking have at it. No rules. Just go crazy. And this massive overcorrection of this thing that they haven't been able to have. The thing that I am talking about is that you need to introduce someone to something. You need to establish some ground rules. You know, yes, don't take your phone into your bedroom. Don't have a computer in your room. Give yourself some space to be away from this thing that can be the best thing in the world, can be the worst. But I think when parents go, you know, maybe there's people that agree with David that they should be banned. You know, forget the mechanics of how it works, all of that sort of thing. It sounds good to them because they can put off that problem. They can just pretend that the modern world doesn't exist for a little bit longer. But I think they're just kicking the can down the road a little bit.